Athena Homemade.
Hi everyone, I'm Rita Peterson with Everything Homemade, and we are going to make yogurt today. So to start with, what do you need to make yogurt? You need some kind of jars. Now I have examples here. This is a gallon jar. You can use canning jars. You can use any kind of jar. Just make sure it is glass. Okay, you don't need a tight seal, so we're not looking at canning wise that way, but I mean anything like this. You can use jam jars that are glass. So think outside the box. If you don't have what I have showed you, just make sure please that it is glass. The second thing that you need is a thermometer. So I have an example here of a couple thermometers. This is your typical go to Canadian Tire, buy a thermometer for deep frying, for candy making. It needs to read up to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? But it also you need to be able to read 112 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's accurate, but it's not quite accurate, and I don't use this, but if this is the only thing you have, use what you got. I use actually what we call a cheese making thermometer, much more accurate. You can order this from other places. Where I live, we do not have good access to thermometers. Okay, so go online, go on Amazon. You can get digital thermometers, anything like that. Take a look, but you need something to tell temperature and accurate. Watch your fingers there, Ocean. Okay, I want to say thank you for Ocean for filming. She's 9, and give her a round of applause here. So check what you have for thermometers, okay? That's another thing that's really important. The next thing is yogurt starter. Okay, I'm not going to make this difficult. I don't like to always order from a company. I like to be able to have a starter and then continue using it. So go to your grocery store. Either organic or not organic, it doesn't matter, because what you're doing is just getting the culture, inoculating your first batch, and from then on you're going to continue to use it. Okay, so look for something that's clean. There is tons of brands out there. You're looking for something that is basically milk, bacteria in it. No added flavors, no coloring, it needs to be plain. Look for a Greek yogurt, look for anything. Basically, look for the most clean ingredients you can possibly get. Buy 2 cups, 50 ml or even 750 ml container. Purchase that. So you're looking at about a $5 to $7 cost. That's your yogurt starter. Get that home. This is already started a yogurt starter from a store bought, so you just continue it. So you only have to buy this once. So this is yogurt starter here. The other thing that you're going to need is a cooler. Okay, right up here, Ocean. You're going to need a cooler. Now I'm using gallon. I'm going to be making 1.25 gallons in here. So I want my cooler to be able to hold a gallon. Depends on your size. Get a cooler that fits what you're doing. Okay, inside this cooler, nothing fancy. This cooler seals really good. There you go. Nothing too fancy. A heating pad. You can get this at London Drugs for about $10. Buy the cheapest heating pad if you don't have one, $10 to $20 at the most. And you need this in here. And then grab an old towel. Simple as that. So that's what's in here. The other thing you need is milk. Okay? Whether you're using raw dairy or whether you're using store-bought, you need milk. Now I am going to be making 1.25 gallons of a cup of milk. Now why don't I just make 1 gallon? It's because I always use a canning jar, and I always put a little bit of yogurt set up fresh in here so I don't accidentally use all my yogurt in my gallon. So this is what the end product is going to look. I'm going to show you how it's going to look when we're all said and done. This is how thick it is. This is what we're making. Beautiful yogurt. Okay? And this is how it looks when it's flavored. This is the end of my batch. I make 1 gallon at a time. I have 5 kids. I have a big family. And we love yogurt for breakfast. This is flavored raspberry. Take a look at that. And I will teach you how to flavor nicely. So this is flavored. Beautiful. It has full raspberries in it. Tastes delicious. I've got to eat some. It's smooth. It's not tangy. It's just absolutely gorgeous yogurt. Okay? So I won't sit here and eat this in front of you. The next thing you need is a pot. Okay? You need a whisk, and you need somewhere to put your whisk in. And honestly, I just pick a cup from my cupboard and put it in. So this is your setup. Once you have this, we can get on and make the yogurt. Okay, so the next important thing before we get going is how much starter do I use? So this is what you need to know, and you can then take this amount, multiply it, or decrease it. So for every 6 cups of milk, you use a half a cup of starter. Okay, so 6 cups of milk, half a cup of starter. So I'm doing 1.25 gallons, and I'm going to do I'll just round it to one cup of starter to 1 gallon of milk. And that quarter is okay. I don't add a little bit more because it's just a little bit more milk that I add, and the culture grows just fine. It's not a significant jump, but if you are, then add more. So if you're doing 1 gallon and 6 cups, you would use 1.5 cups of starter. So you continue with that ratio as you go, and you should have no problem. And I'll put that on the screen here so you can just take a look at it. So that is very important. So let's get started. So you can treat this, let's say this was store-bought yogurt, you do the exact same thing. Okay, you open it up and put it in. Okay, so let's get started here. Nova, I need a helper. Okay, so we go to our pot. I like using stainless steel, and Nova is going to be my helper here. And basically, Ocean, if you want to come over here, get a little close up here. I have a milk cow. If you're not following my channel, I do milk my own cow, and this is full milk. So that means that for every gallon, there's 2 cups of heavy cream in here. So it's a really nice, rich yogurt. If you do not have cream, it's not the end of this world. I like my yogurts full fat because full fat is nice flavor. It makes a delicious product. So Nova, you're going to be my stir. And what I do is we need to sterilize the milk first. So I look at my thermometer. I'm reading about just below 80 Fahrenheit. And I need this to get all the way, and I heat it up between 140 and 160. This isn't exact science. What you want to do is sterilize, but not ultra pasteurize or sterilize you just enough to kill some bacteria culture, because especially in raw milk that has not been pasteurized, there's a lot of culture, and what happens is that culture overtakes your yogurt culture, then it doesn't create a nice yogurt. And that's why when you read books, they say to heat it up. And there is a reason to this. Now, I've made yogurt without pasteurizing. You can stir this, Munchkin, so I don't burn while we're heating this up. Okay, so let's check our temperature. Now she's gonna stir this as I chat, because otherwise we'll burn. And we're gonna heat it up to, like I said, between 140, 160 degrees. I've done it both ways and I have success. So it doesn't seem to really matter there. 140 minimum, 160 max. Use that as a rule of thumb. So once that's heated to that temperature, you take a lid, you put it on, you take it off the hot plate, and just set it onto your counter for about 5 hours. What that's going to do is bring the temperature back down. Now I say about 5 hours because you want that temperature to go down to 112 degrees Fahrenheit. A yogurt culture is called a thermophilic culture. And a thermophilic culture needs warmth to grow. That's why yogurt needs some kind of external heat for a period of time around it to set it up. an example of something that's not, especially when you get into cheese making, you have what you call a mesophilic culture, and a mesophilic culture does not need heat like a thermophilic culture to set up a culture. And that's a total another subject, but today we're going to deal with thermophilic. So that's what a yogurt culture is. And so once that hits that temperature, check it about after 3 hours, check your temperature, because it depends on what temperature your house is. If it's a really cool in your house, it's going to drop in temperature faster. If it's really warm, it's going to take more time. So I usually check it after 3 hours, and then if it needs about 10 degrees, you're looking at about a half an hour, 45 minutes. Just check, you're aiming at 112 degrees Fahrenheit. And this temperature is important. If you're less than 112, it's not going to set up as great. If you're over 112, it's too warm. So this critical temperature is critical, okay? So let it set, and then we'll add the culture. So we're going to take a break. We're going to get our temperature ready here to 140, and then we will be back and we will inoculate it with culture. Okay, so I'm going to grab my pot. It's 112 degrees now, Fahrenheit. I'm going to bring it over to the table. And Nova, do you want to grab me a big spoon, please? No, a tablespoon. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out 1 cup of starter. Thank you. So take a look, a little bit more. And then what I like to do is I like to stir it. And that gets all the clumps out. Just like so. So basically, now it becomes liquidy without clumps. You got that there, Ocean? Okay. And so I take my whisk, and now I take this culture and I whisk it in. And you really want to whisk this in, okay? Over stir it, because it needs to combine. Can you get a close up here, Ocean? It needs to really mix thoroughly everywhere. And just like cheese making, which I will get into, you take your whisk and you whisk the top really good, then you get deeper as you go, and this technique ensures that from top to bottom, your culture is whisked in. Very, very important. Now I'm just going to take this stuff, just put it to the side here so there's just less stuff around me. So what else I want to do is now I need to transfer it into this jar right here. Now, like I said before, you can use any jar as long as it's glass, and you can decrease the amount. Now I'm making a lot of yogurt because I have a big family, but you can definitely decrease this, okay? So what I like to use is just a measuring cup, because this is obviously very full and I don't want to make a mess at first. I also have a canning jar, and I'm going to fill a little bit in this canning jar, a cup to 2 cups like I did in this one, so when I flavor my big batch, I don't accidentally flavor all my yogurt. I have some stuff in here. Now, my jar here is not warmed up. It is sterile, it is clean. You always make sure things are clean, but it is not warm. You don't have to have it things crazy warm all the way through. Your mixture is warm, and I'm gonna transfer it right into my cooler, and that is warm. Now I can pour my pot a lot better here without it spilling. Hopefully, watch it, okay. How many times have I done this on camera, and I always feel like I do it in front, I never ever spill until I film it. Okay, and so I add a bit in here for my next starter. And your starter will last between 1 to 2 weeks. So don't be scared that it's going to spoil right away. So just take a look at that for a second. I'm just gonna wash. I should have put that spoon on my lid. Just put a lid on here. And I always have things labeled, so I know in the fridge which one is my yogurt starter, which one is my cheese starter. The other thing that I like to do is just clean up a little bit of my jar. There we go. Okay, now come over here, Ocean. Nova, if you want to hold open this lid for me, because this cooler has a habit of snapping. Yeah, don't worry about that, Ocean. Just come as close. Okay, so what I like to do is I take my culture or my yogurt, I'll put it in the cooler, and you don't got to be crazy quick about this. It's not going to cool off in a second. You take a towel, put it over like so on one side, then you take your heating pad, put it on the other side, plug it in like so. And then you'll see this heating pad right here has high, so I'll call high number 6 setting. So it has 1 to 6, okay? I like mine at 4, so I would say medium high heat. And I put it over here. I don't actually put it on the jar, but what happens is that it heats up the cooler, therefore the cooler retains the heat and it keeps it as a steady temperature, and within 6 to 8 hours yogurt will be done. So I will visit you in 6 to 8 hours and I'll show you how it looks in there. Then we'll put it in the fridge, and the next day I'll show you how the final setup, because what happens is it will gel beautifully in the cooler. It will continue to finish off your yogurt in the fridge. And the final beautiful gelling, will happen in the fridge. And then I will show you how to flavor it. So this is a definitely in-depth look on how to make yogurt, and we'll see you back between that 6 and 8 hour mark. Everyone, we are actually 7 hours later. Remember I said between 6 and 8 hours. So I check it at 6 hours and then I check it again at 7, and usually between that 6 and 8 hours, everything's done. So let's take a look. Get close up here, Ocean. So at this point, now I've already checked it, but what I do is turn off the heating pad here to make sure it's off. And I'm going to show you on the starter because it's a little easier to see. Now you take a look. You notice when I kind of tip it, it is gelled. Now it's not gelled, let's say as thick as you saw it. Remember what I said? I said it's going to finish up in the fridge. So this is definitely gelled. It is not liquid, and that's what we want. So I'm just going to put this on the table here, and I'm going to grab the large one out. And we're going to go to the table here. So take a look inside. And you can see this, and I'm going to get a spoon just to demonstrate to you of what you're looking at. You got that, Ocean?
Yeah.
So take a look. You notice it? It's gelled. See that? That's what you want. Now, you don't want to disturb the culture too much because it's at a critical stage here, and I want to finish it up in the fridge. So, what we're going to do is we're going to put in the fridge overnight. It's supper time right now. I'm actually going to head and just make supper. In the morning, we're going to film how I flavor this, and you'll see the difference in how much more gelled it becomes just by being in the fridge and cool down. So we'll see you in the morning. Hi everyone, good morning as we film this. I'm filming it just before breakfast, and this is the last part of how to make yogurt. So we put this in the fridge around supper time yesterday, and take a look as it sets up. Now I'm going to scoop it here before we flavor it. Look at that. What beautiful yogurt. It jiggles like Jell-O, looks really good. Okay, and remember, we're gonna flavor this gallon, and remember the candy jar we did, this is our yogurt starter. So this is how I always make sure there's always some starter for next time. So I'm gonna just put this in the fridge. Okay, so how do I flavor it? Well, today we are going to do raspberries. Now we have picked these from our raspberry patch. So I have some raspberry juice because they were frozen. So there's about a cup of raspberries with about a half a cup of juice in here. Now you could flavor Saskatoon, blueberry, 80 berries, absolutely. You can even flavor it by using homemade jam, putting a cup of homemade jam, mixing it up. There's tons of ways to flavor yogurt. I'm going to do berries with banana. And the reason I put banana in, it gives it a nice little bit of sweetness naturally. So Ocean here, she's going to mash me 4 bananas. Now, we're going to mash instead of blend. Now, you could take all this and blend it up, but what happens is it makes your yogurt runny. Remember when I poured out my yogurt that was already flavored? It's still gelled. And that's what we want. Once you blend it, it just becomes a liquid drink. So we don't want to blend. So Ocean, start mashing. So she's just gonna mash up bananas like you would mash up for cake.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, for cake. And what I'm going to do is I'm just actually going to pour this in. Now the little bit of liquid that I do add in here, Ocean, you gotta mash, please, does not affect it going liquid like you would blend it. It's actually going to give it a really cool color. And basically I'm using a fairly large spoon because this is a gallon size jar. And this will last my family 3 breakfasts. And I have 5 kids. So, and this is everybody, my husband and I eating yogurt in the morning. So I'm going to put the rest in here. And I like to leave the raspberries whole because, no, just wait on that. Just keep mashing all them in there. I like to leave my raspberries whole because I like to have a scoop of yogurt and eat a whole raspberry. There's nothing like that. You getting that, Nova?
Yeah.
So, as you can see, my jar is fairly full, so I'm actually going to pour some out into a different container because we're going to add the banana in, and that's okay. So we're just going to pause this here. I'm going to get another container while she mashes these up, and we'll do the final mix here in a moment. Okay, so I just basically got another jar, poured some off so I had a little bit more room. So you can definitely eat it like this. This tastes great. I just prefer just a slight bit sweeter. And that's just, I mean, try it. You don't have to have the banana in here. I like banana in it. So Ocean has 2 bananas mashed. So I'm gonna take this and actually put the mashed banana in here, and it doesn't discolor. Once you blend banana into yogurt, you'll notice the next day it'll discolor pink. So Ocean, I would like another one. So I want 1 banana in here and 1 more in here. So, and we just simply mix it. So taking your spoon, you simply mix in your flavoring. And what's nice too when you don't blend is you'll notice it doesn't discolor. Even the berries don't discolor near as bad in your yogurt. Okay, and you still end up having it nicely gelled. And the kids love a little bit of banana clumps too. So it's a win-win both ways. Perfect. So this one, we'll add this banana in here. That will finish this up. And Ocean will add the last banana in here, and our yogurt is flavored. And this will keep for at least a week in your fridge without any problems. After that, after about 2 weeks, you want to make sure you refresh and do another batch. For us, I do this every 4th day. So it takes 3 days, 3 to 4 days, I guess, I make a new batch of yogurt. So there you have it. How to flavor yogurt. Remember, be creative. Think outside the box. If you have any cherries, any kind of homemade jams or jellies, you can add that in for a quick flavoring. Any kind of berries, frozen or fresh, you can add that in. So there's a lot of ways to flavor it. If you want the gel, just remember, if you blend it, it will turn more into a drink than it will into a nice gelled, take a spoon and scoop it kind of yogurt. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.